What's going on, guys? I'm just from MakingStarWars.net, and we're just starting all weird today because I had my camera on. I'm like hitting the start button, but I don't care. I'll do what I want. How are you, other Jason? We haven't seen you in a while.
Good. I'm good. Thank you, Rob and Jason, having me on tonight. Let's talk some weird shit, huh?
Right? Yeah. Where you at, Rob? Are you with the dude?
Bro, I'm always in a bowling alley. You know, in my mind palace is a bowling alley, nice 50s style. You know, Coronado Island never really changed. Yeah, old LA bowling alley, love it.
I got a couple of things for us to check out. Like really, I don't have things as organized as I wanted to up front, so I'll just be honest about that. But check this out right here. I'm gonna share my old screen on the Twitter machine, and I thought this was like pretty neat. This isn't really like the full discussion of tonight's show, but it's pretty wild. Have you seen this yet?
I have not.
No. So it says today. This is Ross Coulthard. Today, the former head of the French spy agency DGSE has said UAPs were detected moving underwater at the speed of sound. That's 1 mile and 4.69 seconds.
Clearly, that's the project with the dolphins that are
with the lasers.
Hooked up with lasers and cameras. That's clearly that. We all know.
Yeah, and then somebody's like, "Well, the speed of sound is is different and different underwater and all that shit." And I was like, "Yeah, okay,
is
whatever." I don't know. Its sound is different. I was just like, "Okay, I get what you're saying, but it's really fast. That's really fast, and it's tracked, so that's pretty cool."
You know, as a kid, I felt that like 2001 and Close Encounters was like the most important UFO movies. As I get older, I'm like, nah, it's The Abyss.
It's Flight of the Navigator.
It's The Abyss. And second, Flight of the Navigator, I think, is also the second most accurate depiction of what's probably actually happening. You know, like weird pearl-shaped drones.
Yeah. I think it's They Live, personally.
Yeah, but you and every other disingenuous. I'm not putting you in that group. I gotta rephrase that. You and the disingenuous right-wing fascists.
Yeah.
I have to be very careful about how I phrase things. People take shit so personally. Also, Jason, I just want to say, ever since you made the joke, I can't not hear fart noises when Darth Vader breathes. So,
that's right. Yeah. I did on the chat. It's KK. Yeah. She's just trying to make things lighter and more enjoyable for the younger audience. Come on.
Rogue One's forever changed.
Sorry, bud.
Yeah.
That hallway scene would be a lot funnier with some fart sounds.
Also, I would think, Jason, it might be good since Abyss is going to 4K Blu-ray in August, I think. That would be a good Patreon watch. We should all get together. That would be really fun.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, I'm up for it.
Long haul.
Yeah, it's the Cameron cut. He has to get approval on everything before this stuff can get re-released, which is why it hasn't.
I haven't seen it in a while, but the amniotic fluid that they put the rat in, I still don't know how they did that. I have to go back and watch it and break it down and be like, oh, okay, obviously. Where they drown the rat and it comes back, like amazing to me. All right.
Yeah, here we go.
Rekaman video jatuhnya benda misterius dari
langit
di perairan sekitar Pantai Manongan, Kecamatan Jangkar, Situbondo. Direkam oleh salah seorang warga. Dalam video ini, benda berbentuk lonjong hitam terekam meluncur cepat ke bawah dari atas langit. Sebelum sampai di air laut, benda misterius itu terlihat seperti mengeluarkan asap hitam.
It's smoking though.
Saat jatuh ke laut,
it's weird. I mean, I don't know if it's a spacecraft or an interdimensional being. But I never saw a follow-up to it, and I was looking into it, and I can't find anything about it, which is...
You got to turn the volume off.
Oh, sorry.
I love it, but
not to be culturally insensitive, but
yeah. What? Okay, I'm using jibber jabber because of Meg, not because
No, I didn't say it that way. So every time I see footage like that and
Jawa
foreign language, I immediately think of Signs where they're watching in the closet, and it's like a Mexican.
It's a fun movie, Signs.
It is a fun movie. I like it.
Yeah, me too. It actually I think is his best movie. M. Night's best movie, probably, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought whatever that is, it's a giant, it's a big joint for all I know. I think Eddie Murphy would make that joke in the 80s. But it's
that or the ocean's getting a little frisky with itself.
Yeah, right.
SpaceX had another failure.
So yeah, I'm sure everybody who follows UFO stuff knows about the Black Vault, which is John Greenwald Jr.'s site where he does FOIA requests for everything constantly, and which I appreciate, because that's a lot of work, man. And
or he works for them and he's just getting it on the down low.
Oh, conspiracy! You're talking conspiracy right now. Well, did you see how he did you hear about how the Obama library has like a bajillion things of UFO files from the Obama era?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they have a ton, it turns out. And so people started doing FOIAs for it. The minute that, like, I guess like a president has to be not sitting in office for 4 to 5 years. I don't remember I think it's 5 years before you could start doing FOIA requests on their stuff. So the minute like that happened, people started just like filing for those. And but he got a response back on it. I saw it on a show a couple of days ago. They told him, "We'll have all the files for you in 16 years." No joke. They literally told him 16 years. So he's like, "Whoa, we're going to be making some new FOIA requests and changing the parameters of what we're asking for to try to get some stuff now." But you know, it could be, I don't know, it could be like it could be nefarious. It could be giving him the runaround, or it could be that 3 people work in that library, you know, in that archive, and to realistically do it with the queue, it's going to take that long with the amount of work that they're asking for. But yeah, that's fun stuff. But the old Black Vault got us this document that's very hard to like see, but it's from Project Blue Book. And you know, it like balloon really big right here.
I know.
It. Just in
case
you
called Project Balloon Book.
Yeah, right. I mean? But this is the blackvault.com, and he's the guy who does all of the FOIAs, John Greenwald Jr. He pulls it all out, and so, you know,
I know on Twitter like a couple weeks ago, he was like going back and forth with Green Street, and they were just basically shooting everything down, right? And like ufology, and everyone I think took it way personal, right? They're like, yeah, these guys are assholes. Like, calm down. Like, yeah, you gotta have a sense of humor looking at this stuff, or it's gonna drive you to start saying you took a trip in the mountain in a tunnel and met a bunch of purple mantis aliens. You're gonna start acting all crazy. Just take a step back and laugh at it and go, I mean, shit is hard to do. Hard to look at something and go, it could be this. Yeah, sure, it could be.
When something is undeniable, then I mean that's what you're looking for, is the undeniable thing. And if people can deny it constantly, you end up in a situation where you're like, well, you know what, maybe it's not that, or maybe we need better proof at the end of the day. And it's like, you definitely want people that are like going, I don't buy this all the time.
I want those people, I want those people to look at something.
But I think when it comes from a good place is when it matters. Like who's the one dude who like the famous debunker? The guy who's always debunking, trying to debunk everything, no matter what. I can't remember his name right now.
You're not talking about Hynek, are you?
No. He's modern. He's like the video game, the Tony Hawk game developer.
Rob just triggered me.
With the Tony Hawk game developer guy.
Oh, like, Mick West.
Mick West, yeah, like Mick West. Like I don't know, like with that guy, like I don't know if he would ever accept if they fucking landed. I don't know if he would accept it. So it's like, on one hand, it's like I want somebody. I like debunkers who want it to be true, but are very much grounded in reality. Like I need
grounded, right? But open-minded is a very hard thing to achieve. The older I get,
you know what's funny about
the more I get jaded on it.
Yeah.
What's funny to me about a game developer going out of their way to show technical expertise and debunking things is like they couldn't have imagined Unreal Engine 5 would be real 20 years ago. Or the Oculus Quest would have come in a timeline that it did, but now they're going to tell us how future technology, possibly even 1,000,000 years old, could be functioning, Like,
right.
Seriously, like, I mean, I've been following game tech for a long time, and I remember in 1997, there was a game called Messiah, which featured tessellation, right? It was the guy who created MDK, and they were like, this is it. No, games are never going to get better than this. It'll scale up as the power gets better and scale down on lower machines, but this is the final thing, And you're just like, sure, 2 years later, you got the NVIDIA cards and shit, like.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to look in the mirror and
I like spaceships.
Acknowledge
so I cracked up the first time you played that. It came out of left field for me. I cracked up out loud, like literally.
But
See, someone in chat says Captain Disillusion. Have you ever seen him?
No,
the guy with silver paint.
He did the Fly the Navigator.
Oh yeah.
Fly the Navigator.
Yeah. It's fun.
He's all right.
Fun.
He's all right.
Is he? Does he? I don't watch him enough though to like really have like a true opinion whether he's great or not. But I saw a Flight of the Navigator like visual effects stuff. I was like, in Back to the Future video. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
But so
like if they don't believe, they're on Revenge Guy's list. Like,
I'll get Revenge Guy to go get him in Fortnite with me.
Got him.
No, but so anyways, these documents of this incident came out, and it just like it's pretty thorough. It's like a lot of the same stuff, but it gets down to every single little component of this encounter with the P-51 Mustang. And at approximately 1420, basically we have four P-51s flying. And we have like control towers and stuff that are like seeing a bright light that looks like an ice cream cone with red lights. Like
so
ice
just
cream cone
before
with light
we get
on the
into
top.
this one, Jason, this is the one Chris Lito covered.
Is this the same one?
Yeah, the P-51.
Okay.
Is this in Fargo, Minnesota?
It's all over though. That's what's kind of interesting is you end up seeing the same UFO go along a lot of different places.
So Lito covered the exact story from 1948 in Fargo, Minnesota. Yeah. Which I recommend after the show checking it out because he does that cool thing where he gets
this one says Mansfield, Kentucky.
Mansfield.
Yeah,
so
Mansfield.
Okay, all right. So this is a second sighting with another P-51. Clever.
Yeah.
That's
the one he covers is pretty hard to ever deny.
Really?
that incident is so cut and dry. It's like you'll see, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. We could maybe even pull that up if we have time too. I think I have the link from earlier because you sent it to me when I was out eating with the kids, and then I was like, is it the same thing? Because this is what I had planned. It was this, and then you sent me that, and I'm like, hey, it's meant to be P-51s. Come on, load up. So yeah, this is what 7th of January.
Yeah,
and
1948.
1948, and we got this. Number of objects 1, and then
that's so long ago.
Yeah, right. 15,000 feet.
50 years before I joined the army. Like, great.
The ice cream cone topped with red. Interesting, because
here we go. Yeah,
I've seen that kind of before in other reports of objects.
Fucking commies.
What's that look like to some people? A weather balloon, right? With a hanging
balloon.
drape and.
Yeah, except for this one goes really high, and this P-51 can't catch it, which is what's like hilarious.
And this exact same thing happens in 1948 in Fargo, Minnesota. This is crazy.
That's weird.
Yeah. I mean, this. I don't know. Maybe this ends up crashing in Fargo. I can't remember where it actually goes down. It starts like this guy chases this thing all around. You know what I mean? Like we have different people who are chasing this one, and I'm trying to get into the part where it starts to like get into like the narrative. Kind of hard to read some of this stuff too, but object first reported by military police at Fort I think Knox.
Fort Knox.
Yeah,
later in basic
where they got the Kentucky Fried Chicken. Later over Godman by Blackwall. And then Lieutenant Orner then left office of CO, proceeding to control tower, where he sighted a small white object in the southwest sky. It appeared stationary, could not determine of object radiated or reflected light. Through binocs, it appeared partially as what is that? Parachute?
Parachute.
Parachute with bright sun reflecting from top of the silk. I don't know. However, there seemed to be some red light around the lower part of it. Three P51s alerted to pursue object. Took course at around 210 degrees, approximately 5 degrees. I don't know. Later, object sighted. And then blah, blah, blah. The flight leader reported it high, traveling about half his speed at 12 o'clock. Later, he stated he was closing in to take a good look. This was his last message. And then some NGSCO then reported NG369 had disappeared. So Biggs lost Porkins. At the time of his disappearance, he was reported high on what though? No, high and ahead of Wingman at approximately 13,000 to 20,000 feet, and Wingman at approximately 15,000 feet. So we just have a bunch of whatever.
Which isn't relatively high. 15,000, between 13 and 20,000 feet. It's commercial airspace. Like, it's not.
Is that high for
pretty low, actually.
Is that high for a P-51 though? I don't know about old prop planes and
okay. I wouldn't think so, but I'm no Air Force aviation expert.
Yeah. No, because Lido gets into like 14,000 feet ain't shit. Like they were trying to say that because they got radiation pickup on the plane later, and they said, well, it was because of atmospheric radiation. And Lido goes, because Lido's a retired F-16 pilot. He goes, if you're getting radiation at 14,000 feet, we
are all gonna die.
We're all gonna die. Like 5 years makes no. If I'm getting, if they take a Geiger counter every time you hit 14,000 feet, you know, we're gonna be, you know, making aliens basically. Like, everyone's gonna be radiated. Jesus.
So later, Lieutenant Orner returned to control tower and perceived bright light at a position of about 240 degrees, whatever. It was round object and did not resemble a star. Although there was hijinks, I don't know, light haze maybe. The object remained visible and did not disappear until it went below the level of the Earth in a manner similar to the sun or moon setting. This object was viewed and tracked with the weather station Theodolite from the hangar roof. What is that? Theodolite? I don't know. Whatever. They couldn't track it on something.
That's pilot talk right there.
That's pilot talk. Yeah.
That's deep pilot talk with weather and stuff.
Yeah, I was like pretty like intrigued by this too, because like basically like what the story ends up being as we kind of get into this is that this pilot, he ends up basically following, I guess, like up too high, and then he ends up stalling out, I think, and basically falling down and crashing. But it's not.
Light is.
No, I don't.
You ever seen an engineer sit on the street with like a little tripod and a little like thing, and he's looking through it?
Oh, those guys are cool. I always wanted to be those guys. Yeah, like you're out there. Yeah. You're like, excuse me, I'm on official business here on the corner. Don't fuck with me right now. And you're like, yeah.
It's a measuring instrument.
Okay.
So it's a weather measuring instrument.
Got it. Okay. So at approximately,
so it's not deep pilot talk.
No, it's not. It's just like cool guy talk. Approximately 1320, Sergeant Cook from the CO's office notified the Observer that according to Fort Knox Military Police and B-Town State Police, a large circular object at about 250 to 300 feet in diameter was over Mansville, Kentucky. They're like, this is Mansville, not Aliensville. Get the fuck out of our airspace. Advised him to check with the Army Flight Service, then advised negative, but shortly thereafter reported object over Irvington, Kentucky, then Owensboro, Kentucky. Object first sighted by Blackwell about whatever, a bunch of stuff. At approximately...
So, 1 second. Yeah. So, Chul's flashlight, Chul's flashlight in 3D printing. Says commercial aircraft typically fly between 31,000, 38,000 feet. I was talking about like in 1948, like commercial, like I guess I was in my head, I was thinking of like when when JFK Jr. had a little plane, I'm just talking about, it's like super low. It's like low flying shit. Then he says the P-51 has a service ceiling of 42,000 feet.
Okay.
So yeah.
So,
I mean, it's how they cross the Pacific, and you got to go higher. Otherwise, you're going to run out of fuel. You know, you need to cross. The higher you go, the less distance you're traveling. You know, like the lower you. It's like you ever try to walk the beach to LA. You'll be there for 20 years trying to get around the fractal coast. You know? It's not a good idea.
Yeah, Shuli's flashlight and 3D printing says P-51 has a service ceiling of 42,000 feet. So I could.
Is that a Stern reference? Shuli? That's old.
That's what I was thinking when I saw Shuli. So anyways, so this, we kind of get like the same story in different ways throughout these documents, which is kind of fun in a weird way if you're a big nerd. At a price. So anyways, we got the P-51s, we got all 4 of them. And then they reported sighting an object ahead and above, still climbing at 15,000 feet. Object directly ahead and above and moving about half my speed. Again, it appears metallic and of tremendous size. So that's kind of cool. Still later, quote, I'm still climbing. Object is above and ahead, moving at my speed or faster. I'm trying to close in for better look. This was at 1515. 5 minutes later, the other 2 ships turned back. They were like, no way, we're not following that spaceship.
You know, and reading his testimony, like, I remember when the pilots came out for the Tic Tac, like, Mick West and everyone was like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Neil deGrasse Tyson's like, this is a little glitch in the camera. What do you know? What do you know about this equipment? You don't do anything involving this equipment, right? Like, people just immediately should. Our pilots are so well educated, so well trained. Back then, just as much, right? Like, these individuals are experts in their field. It's how they got to be able to sit behind this multi-million-dollar piece of equipment and fly it, right? Because they have earned that spot by doing all the work needing to be done. So hearing the report, I take the pilot's word and read it and go, wow, that's amazing, because that pilot lived that. And unless he's covering himself up like an accident or something like that, right?
Yeah. Well, this guy ends up, he ends up dying, I believe. I think he dies, and he does make errors. So I mean, so we can say, but the thing about it is people are seeing it all over. He's not the only one seeing this thing.
Right.
That's like the other part of it is, if we want to discredit him and say, yeah, but you know what? This guy fucked up and he died. Like he
the
really
guy that Leto covers, the guy Leto covers, ends up staying in the Air Force till 1969. Retires as Lieutenant Colonel. Never seen anything like this. Never had any answers for it. Didn't believe the bullshit they gave him. Had visual, sightings from the ground. Another guy up in the air and a Cub, and then him. So all reporting and describing the same thing. And it's a red light, essentially, what they were looking at. But it would respond and move, and he said it still moved according to like basic, like it still had to move, like it was turning, but it was turning in the way that something that's being piloted would have to turn. Okay, like it was moving in a circumference that still was bound by physics in some way.
So it was a Chinese drone that could time travel.
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah, on a just complete side note, I saw like a lot of articles this week. I didn't bother pulling them because who cares? Trying to debunk the like Tic Tac videos or the gimbal and video, and it's like I like read the articles and they just completely just do not acknowledge radar. They're like, oh, it was just a reflection. So what was the reflection in the cameras of the aircraft and radar was picking up reflection now?
Yeah,
that's
it was reflective energy hovering out in the middle of the space. Yeah, sure. What's funny is if it's fake or not happening, why is the Air Force, if they have or are currently trying to reclassify all that stuff, make it so that the gimbal footage, the the stuff like that can't be seen anymore. You know, like why would you classify shit that's bunk anyway? You know,
Right.
Or
maybe they're it's like
that, you know?
maybe it's just like maybe they're doing what Russia did, where you pretend that you're putting all this money into the military, but you're really giving them like rations from 2015, and instead of putting like cameras on the jets, they're just putting like GoPros and pocketing the rest of the cash, and they're like, well, well, it's gonna come
as
out.
A guy
No.
who once had to eat sea rations from Vietnam because they forgot to bring the chow downrange.
I heard
not
that
a new
story,
problem,
by the way.
Yeah, it's true, and we all crowd around looking at like, oh man, this is real.
Yeah,
it's really happening.
You're like what it was lasagna? Is that what you said it was?
It was lasagna. Yeah, and it was in a tin. And they had to get like, you know, like in those Tom and Jerry World War II cartoons, they get that like
turnkey
thing and they got to crank it and like a turnkey.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Like, or like, and to me, because I'm a real nerd, it reminded me when Superman in Superman 3 was ripping open the oil hole, right? Just kind of peel. Yeah.
Peel this back.
Yeah.
I do love the idea though of something coming from another planet and then being like, Mansville. That sounds good. Let's fly above Mansville.
Let's go to Fargo.
There.
Fargo. 1948 had a lot going on.
So 5 minutes later, the other two ships turned back, and then NG whatever reported it appeared like the reflection of sunlight on an airplane canopy. Shortly afterward, the same pilot resumed search, going to 33,000 feet, 100 miles south, but did not sight anything. And yeah, so they have like a bunch of data that nerds could argue about and debunk all day and stuff if they want to.
Rick Jones, I feel for you in chat. He said he ate Vietnam rations plenty of times. Not great.
Not great.
Beef treats, disgusting.
So from that moment forward, you're allowed to have 2 duffel bags on a tank. So I made certain one duffel bag was filled with what they call pogey bait, which is just junk food. That's like just packed to the brim with crunch and munch and cracker jack and corn nuts, anything that can survive, you know, a month out in the field. Like, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you guys, one time I had to eat Hungry Man TV dinner, and it was not good. I will not recommend it, even though I had a coupon that was 2 for 1.
Strangely, that had more chemicals and was worse for you.
Probably.
Do you understand? My father wouldn't let me eat anything but that for a year. Like,
really?
After I got dropped off at the house, he had changed. He was like, "I'm no longer cooking. I'm a bachelor." You know, so
yeah,
like he was just feeding us Hungry Man dinners every night of the week, at least 5 days to 7 days a week. You know, and like after a year of it,
there's no Uber Eats. No, just
Uber Eats.
That wasn't the thing yet. That's what I do.
I know.
I don't want to cook. Uber Eats.
So here we have some other shit where like Kentucky State Police were informed by unknown individuals that an unusual aircraft or object was flying through the air, circular in appearance, with an approximate size of 250 to 300 feet, which was moving westward at a pretty good clip. This was relayed to Godman. What's that, Phil? So
Field.
Yeah. Field, FLD. Just write field. I mean, come on. It's like 2 more keystrokes. Anyways. Yeah, but
typewriters.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I got a typewriter when I was 9, and it had a erase on it. You can erase with it. It's pretty cool. That's what I wanted for my birthday. I was a weird kid. Object of aluminum appearance without apparent wings or control surface, which moves southwest, remaining visible for about 30 miles.
Sounds like it was Nubian.
And that was in Edwardsville, Illinois, Elizabethtown. We got some Irvine.
Miss Elizabethtown. Yeah.
Oh shit, Miss Elizabeth.
Is that a Naboo starfighter?
So yeah.
What's a Nubian?
When I first saw this and it had this like pencil scratch, I was like, was that supposed to be like the flight path? And I'm like, no, not at all. That's just some bullshit. Yeah, but
it's Kentucky in 1948, Super. You know, I'm assuming they were a little bit more civilized.
Maybe. I don't know.
There were no rebel flags on the back of trucks at that time.
Do you think maybe the P-51 had some truck nuts on it though, underneath it? Maybe. No. Okay.
I had real nuts. It's a different time back then.
They had Kaiser nuts.
Yeah.
You went old school.
So RE is made to incident of unidentified aerial object occurring near your base. 7 January 4/8 PD. Our records indicate frequent. There's that word again. Theodolite. Is that how you say it? Theodolite? I don't know. Readings were made of the object. However,
it's a Cosby Show reference. I'm not going to make
Theodolite. Theodolite and cockroach readings were made of object. However,
we don't talk about the Cosby.
We don't talk about Cosby anymore. But hey, you know what? Theo didn't do anything. Theo's good. Malcolm Jamal Warner's
was
hero.
Hannibal Buress the coach in No Way Home in Spider-Man Homecoming? He's the
Hannibal
coach,
Buress?
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because in No Way Home, when Peter Parker goes back to the high school, he goes, "I know what you did." You know, Mysterio was right. We know what you did, right. Mysterio. Yeah. And I'm like, it's great that it's him who's like accusing Spider-Man and shit, like,
or a murderer.
It's so good.
That's it right there in front of him, or a murderer.
Yeah, it's so good.
So they basically do some readings, and they're just acknowledging that they did the readings. They got some, and references made to attached messages received, and then there's just a bunch of stuff but it ends up going into if I could find it, I don't know when this happens, but later on it makes me laugh because they have the report of where it crashes in this lady's yard, and her name is Susan or something. Susan's just like, what's going on? Why is this happening? And it's and I was wondering, I'm like, does Susan know?
That's fair. That's
yeah,
fair.
Yeah. But I mean, imagine just think about how weird it is if a P-51 Mustang, not during wartime, just crashes in your front yard. That's fucking weird, right?
You know, they live near an airbase. That's weird.
John Belushi pops out.
But I wonder if she knew that they were chasing a UFO, because that's even weirder.
I'm sure that she didn't know that at all.
The kid comes out, shows his dad, it's an alien. Shoot that transforming son of a bitch.
But it's multiple bases or places see the object, which is what I found to be really, really kind of fascinating. Is that it literally goes over state lines and stuff. It's they see it all over the place. And
people like us find these documents fascinating, right?
Mm-hmm.
I swear to you that we could get a Freedom of Information request returned with something that mentions the aliens, arrived from Zeta Reticuli and they did this. And I swear to you, the general public would go, yeah, but, I mean, anyone could write that. They wouldn't get the immense, weight of it. They wouldn't even care. So I don't believe the truth is going to be found in digging through old documents, because the people that hold on to those documents are going to be the people that know how to hide those documents, right?
For sure.
Or explain away the things that they forgot to hide, which is frequent. Our government is very careless with certain things like that. Mm-hmm. And they're going to figure out how to, write it off, or, I don't know. I got in there. That was from Jerry's desk. He got fired. No big deal.
Yeah.
So, look, I can hate them all I want, but there's a really good chance that the secrets to UFOs are sitting in a box of Mar-a-Lago right now. Just
trying to sell it to National Enquirer.
He's just got a bunch of McDonald's trash piled on top of it too,
Oh God, that man
so
is the walking equivalent of Walmart.
It'll smell like 6-month-old, McRib.
Oh, don't say McRib when it's not McRib season. That's not right. Sorry.
Yeah, I always do get a McRib when it's McRib season.
Oh yeah, I don't care if that's fiberglass in it. That's some good fiberglass.
Oh, who cares? Whatever.
No, my take is I feel like we were talking about on a previous show. I feel like disclosure happened, and it just wasn't as sexy as we were hoping for.
I think they weighed the public's opinion on like, hey, is this shit important? Everyone's like, nah, not really. And they're like, all right, well, we'll go ahead and put this away then. Draw the blind down.
Because I mean, they're all saying like, yeah, the shit's real. We don't know what it is. They're confirming this to 60 Minutes. Shit's real. Don't know what it is.
Again, we are such a jaded culture right now. It would take aliens walking out and it being in everyone's front yard so they can go verify with their own eyes, because everyone else doesn't believe any. Like, the lies have just been so all over the place that people don't trust the media anymore. They don't trust the newspapers.
But it's also like that if they did it through or with FLIR video, it's like we need like show us a better photo of one that's like that what our naked eye would see.
I think they always give themselves an out. They always give themselves an out. Like, okay, well, this photo, they can't really deny this photo. I mean, it's Clinton shaking hands with an alien. We can't show them this.
And Hillary's the alien. What?
Right. But instead, let's show them this blurry photo and that's pretty good, right? Like, but we can always say like, hey, it's just blurry.
Yeah.
So they give themselves outs.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, that's but I find these kind of things interesting.
I find them fascinating,
considering where we're at now, because it's like this is equivalent to the Tic Tac. This is just the 1948 version, and a dude actually crashed his plane, getting overzealous about it, which is pretty. I don't blame him on one hand. I think I probably would too. That's probably why they would never let me fly an airplane. It's doubtful that Venus could be observed by the unaided eye from around 15,000 feet, as it would probably be hidden by the high degree of sky brightness due to the proximity of the sun. So
it's such an old school thing, the Venus thing, man. You know, like it's it just takes me back to like whenever we're doing these shows, I always have like I got a Coast to Coast AM playlist. So I got Christopher Cross playing in my ear, right? Like I like to hear the UFO music or we're talking. When you bring up Venus, I'm like, oh, swamp gas, Venus, right?
Balloons,
right? Like all the balloons, like. How come we don't have more swamp gas sightings nowadays? Where'd all of them go? Like the swamp gas disappears when HARP takes off. HARP disappears when 5G shows up. 5G goes away when it's drones. It's a giant drone network. Like I'm like, can we do bullshit excuse bingo? Like what's gonna be the next fucking thing? Like because it's happening faster now than it did before. The excuses used to get a good 20-30 years of some excuse, I think the next thing will be holographic projection. They tried to stick that one. They tried to stick it in the 84 Olympics, which was where I thought Wonder Woman 84 was going to go. I thought there was going to be like they were going to work that one in somehow.
Is that why I go out in my backyard and I meditate for UFOs and then I see Tupac?
Yep.
Is that why that happens?
Just a loop of his old video.
Why never Biggie? No one ever sees Biggie. Dude. Biggie was great.
They didn't have a holographic projector big enough.
Even you don't like, hey, don't make fun of Big Papa. Like so good, so good. No one sounds. Biggie is like Freddie Mercury. No one sounds like Biggie. That's it. There's one of them.
Compare Biggie, which I like Biggie Smalls. Do not get me wrong, to Freddie Mercury.
Yes. Yeah.
No, come on.
If Freddie was in a gang, he wouldn't have lasted as long. Like,
good night, everybody.
What?
Nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
So this is a 1964 document. It says July 1964, but it's from the Mantell case of January 1948. And coroner, Simpson County, dear coroner, in January 1948, at Franklin, Kentucky, an aircraft accident occurred. And the county coroner, Mr. Harry W. Booker, examined the body of the pilot, Captain Thomas F. Mantell, Jr. The Federal Aviation Agency is conducting an investigation of a similar accident in which the cause of death is considered identical. They have expressed a desire for medical records or any other information regarding the condition of the pilot's body after the crash. I am enclosing a copy of their letter to us regarding this information. The case file at Wright-Patterson contains information on the wreckage, but nothing concerning the pilot's condition. Any information that which you may have, such as the autopsy report, medical findings, photos of the body, etc., would be appreciated by the Federal Aviation Agency. And then they just like give some information. So I'm curious if it's a UFO incident or if it's just a stalling, a plane that stalls out and crashes.
Well, it stalled. So the P-51 in the Fargo case, he did stall, but he regained control. He blacked out a little bit because he went too high. He went too high, too steep. It stalled out, but he recovered. And he was saying in this thing that if he wasn't in the physical shape, I guess he's in good shape, that another pilot wouldn't have made those maneuvers, and certainly couldn't make the maneuvers of the item that he was flying after.
Yeah.
So this could have been a thing where this plane went vertically too high too fast, and it stalled, and he couldn't recover it because he probably blacked out, which is what the pilot and the other one, he did black, but he recovered.
Okay.
So when he was coming down, he lost sight of it as it was going up, but then when he's coming down, he can't see behind him, so he had no idea how far, but it just kept going off in space.
Yeah. Some of these guys, or some of these people who write these letters, some of them are really good writers, and some of them are like just like real broken English. You know what I mean? It's like they're like all over the place.
That is a standard to this day with the United States military.
Yeah, for sure.
I assure you, their writing prowess is not that great at times.
Yeah,
but then
I've been there where I'm like, look,
educated person who actually does know how to put ink to paper.
they would look to me to do the typing, and I'm like, look, here's the deal. I will buy pizza right now. I'll go get Burger King, whatever I got to do if I don't have to fucking type this shit. It's all on me, like whatever I got to buy to get out of it, I'll buy it. So there's always one guy
So Captain Hooper at Flight Test Operations stated, quote, "We have no experimental aircraft in that area. However, we do have a B-29 and an A-26 on photo missions in that area. This information was relayed to Godman Tower by dispatcher on duty, and a verification on report was asked for." So
B-29s were sitting stationary in the air, just hanging out.
just hanging out,
Like they always make these statements and these explanations at the end, omitting the original fucking incident, the inciting incident, right? Like, like when those experimental rocket planes just fucking hang out in Quantum Leap. They just hang out in midair. Remember the first episode of Quantum Leap when he's got to break and they don't ever break the sound. They no sonic boom. No nothing. That experimental craft we have in 1948.
This kills me that they had enough time to send a plane back. Come on back. We need to refuel. All right, go ahead. Send this guy out now. And that's a lot of time that you're sitting there with this object in this air space. That's amazing to me.
Yeah. Did you ever read the Quantum Leap book where he goes back in time and is his great grandfather and bangs his grandma?
No.
Yeah, that's Quantum Leap book. You should read it. It's something like $1. Something like $1 on Amazon. Yeah, it's real.
Chris Claremont write that?
It was I think it was an on-aired episode, like a script for an episode that they turned into a novel. So anyways, Shift reported for duty. We were advised that a disc or balloon or some strange object was seen hovering in the vicinity of Godman Field. This object was seen by the commanding officer, Operations Office of Godman Field, who advised that they would attempt to send aircraft to ascertain the size and shape of the object. At this time, there was a flight of 4 P-51s en route from Marietta, Georgia to Stanfield, Louisville, Kentucky. The ship was NG, blah, 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 pilot Mantell. The commanding officer, Godman Field, contacted this pilot and requested that he investigate the object overhead. One of the ships of the formation landed at Stanfield Field. The other 3 aircraft started to climb towards the object. At 22,000 feet, pilot Hammond advised Clements that he had no oxygen equipment. Both pilots then returned to Stanford Field. Pilot Mantell continued climbing. And then pilot Clements refueled and went back up to 32,000 feet, but did not see either a strange object or the aircraft NG 3869 again. And so he returned to Stanford Field. And then Stanford Field advised that NG-3 whatever pilot Mantell crashed 5 miles southwest Franklin, Kentucky. And then we sent a rival, and then they basically try to like find him, you know. So Maxwell Flight Service Center made a long distance call to Franklin, Kentucky, and spoke to Officer Joe Walker, who took charge at the scene of the incident. Joe Walker on the scene. Everybody back up. We got official space business here. Officer Walker stated that when he arrived, the pilot's body had been removed from the aircraft. Upon
no shit. Not to be disrespectful, but
yeah. Upon questioning eyewitnesses, Officer Walker learned that the aircraft had exploded in the air before it hit the ground, but that the aircraft did not burn upon contact with the ground. Is that weird, or is that normal? I wonder. Like this is one of the parts when I first read through this stuff that I was like, is that
all
normal?
the fuel had burnt up somehow, then there wouldn't be anything to explode when it hit the ground.
Right. You're just basically crashing
I am assuming,
bunch of metal and wood, right? At that point.
I'm assuming these planes weren't loaded with like missiles and shit, you know?
Yeah.
Or I guess bombs. Like
it was pursuing an unknown.
Well, there's probably some ammo. You know what I mean? Like I have no doubt.
And this was 1948, so you know.
Yeah, I don't know if they were carrying bombs.
It sounded like they weren't really anticipating going after something. It sounds like they were already up flying when they see the object, and he goes after it. That's why the other guy has to go back and refuel, because they weren't. I don't think they were expecting to pursue something. It's kind of the vibe I get, anyways. But
Rick Jones said, "Exploding in the air never happens."
Never happens. So that's weird.
Take his word for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen Top Gun, so that's my experience with the Air Force.
So wait, are you telling me? Are you telling me these alien sons of bitches killed Goose? That they caused a flat spin that killed Goose?
That's in the new sequel.
That's what
my favorite is when model planes explode in Iron Eagle. Like you can see the balsa wood flying out of them. Yeah.
Top Gun 2 is Meg Ryan's character trying to sue a Tic Tac.
Remember, Iron Eagle came out at the same time as Top Gun. Like it was released theatrically. It's not a made-for-TV film.
No, it has fucking One Vision by Queen in it.
Could have fooled me. Yes, it does. But
the entire soundtrack to that film is my go-to playlist for MotorStorm on the PS3. MotorStorm Pacific Rim.
Also, if you ever want to make a baby, recommend it. Just saying. Officer Walker stated that my children were conceived to the Iron Eagle soundtrack. Officer Walker stated that when he arrived, the pilot's body had been removed. Okay, the wreckage was scattered over an area of 1 mile, and at that time, the tail section 1 week into the propeller had not been located. They took it, man. They took it. Lieutenant Tyler, operations officer at Standiford Field, departed Standiford Field. I think that's how you say it. Field at blah, 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 a bunch of bullshit. So much for the accident. Now hold on to your hat. Goldman Tower again contacted us to report that there was a large light in the sky in the approximate position of the object seen earlier. Then Lockbourne Tower and Clinton County Tower advised a great ball of light was traveling southwest across the sky. See, what I find interesting about this too is how everyone is seeing this. People are seeing discs, they're seeing ice cream cones, they're seeing balls of light. And it's like the same thing, right?
Look, to give old Lazarus some credit, he did say that when it moves around, you know, there's an electrical discharge based off the gravitational wave. There's gravity B, gravity A. The Earth gravity is unstable, so it appears. So if it was sitting stationary, you would see one thing. If it was moving around, you would see it as something else. You know, like that's. Yeah. He said that since the beginning, and that's sort of how I see.
That's the sort of stuff that makes me actually believe Lazar. I'm in the camp where I believe Bob. Is he a kind of a questionable character personally? Yeah, he did some stupid shit when he was young. But
I gotta tell you, Jason, did you see the Batman?
I did, yes.
Is that not the most Bob Lazar Batmobile ever made? Like, it's like
he's
the only guy.
Exactly what I thought when I saw it. I'm like, that is Bob Lazar's rocket ship car.
Yeah, he actually did that. Now think about that. The only person we know to do that is Batman. It takes a crazy dude. He's shoving jet engines.
I had a
jet-powered motorcycle.
So Rob mentions that to me before I see the Batman. I go see the Batman.
No, I can't.
And as I'm watching it, I'm like, that Bob Lazar bat-looking motherfucker. Like, for real, that's what I think. I'm like, thanks, Rob. And then, but I laugh. I come home that night, I go to sleep, and then I dream that Bob Lazar and I are talking, and Bob Lazar's like, why don't people believe what I say, man? I just don't get it. I'm telling them, and I'm like, Bob, you're fucking rock and roll, Bob. They just don't get it, dude. It's cool. I like to party. There's nothing wrong with that, Bob.
Right.
That was a weird dream I had. That was a real dream I had.
I think it's very plausible that, not to get off this.
Yeah.
But I think it's very plausible that when you're pulling in people to work on a very secret, very questionable project, let's get people that, hey, yep, this person have dirt on them. Perfect. We'll go ahead and have that in our back pocket just in case. And there you go. You know, it's just makes sense to me. But
I mean, but you guys were both in the military. I think it's safe to say that whenever you have a group of young men together, some are just going to fall in love with strippers sometimes. It's just going to happen. It happens all the time.
I always had a soldier marrying a stripper.
Yeah, I'm not knocking it. I'm all for it. You know what I mean?
That's what they do.
But that's what Bob did. Bob got a crush on a sex worker, and then I think he got a little too close, and he should have been smarter knowing that people were after him. But that's what he did, and so
that's the thing. Like, and that's with geniuses is they're really smart with books and math, and when it comes to life, they are just the most moronic individuals you'll ever come across. Like,
well, you're talking about Dick Brain. Dick Brain's never as smart as real brain.
Dick Brain tracks.
Dick Brain is dumb.
You mean the nerd that never got laid? Yeah, Dick Brain.
See, there's gravity C, and that's your cock.
But
all the gravity goes down there, and then I can't think anymore. And that's
pressurized. See.
But what would
I did stick an engine into a car, and it's pretty bitching.
But
he drove down the road with it, the regular road, not like I'm going to the desert out in the middle of nowhere.
This thing
he was like driving downtown with it.
Hey, revenge guy.
With weapons, probably. Like,
what would Jacques Vallée say about this, though? He would say, these things are just showing you what they want to show you. And that's why everybody's seeing something different. I'm just throwing it out like the different perspective.
The woo. You're throwing out the woo perspective. And
I wanted to see a praying mantis that raped me, but it showed me a ice cream cone.
Good
I don't know what that says about me. But.
Good gosh. By the way, I have promised my girlfriend I would not bring up on Jolly or that whole drama going on. So I have not brought it up.
Yeah. All I know is and Jolly's like,
in case you guys
strangely
know
hot.
what it is,
I told you in chat, I'm like, hey dude, when she becomes my girlfriend and we get serious, somehow we're gonna be friends still. I don't know how we're gonna make it happen, but
she has from what I hear a boyfriend, but I have expressed to my girlfriend that you find her attractive.
It's weird, man.
Are we talking about praying mantises still? I don't know.
Oddly, yes.
Yeah, I do love myself. Good man.
Yeah, I watched some of that. Well, now that you brought it up, I watched some of that interview that she did with that one dude,
Stephen.
Where she like kind of like gets mad. Yeah. And I was like, I think what he was asking was fair. Maybe the way he asked it, maybe not so much considering she was a guest. But at the same time,
I even made mention like he wasn't the most professional at that moment. Yeah. However, she also is not giving him anything to work with besides her own version of the events. She's not answering the questions. There is a point of frustration that you're gonna break. However, as a and he's not a professional. That's what we got to keep reminding ourselves.
Sure,
We
yeah.
have to understand he's an amateur, and he doesn't have that training, and
really even what is a
have anyone
professional
paying him
in this, right? In this
Right.
thing, like what is? I
Exactly.
mean, what is a professional? And what I have no idea. I mean, on YouTube,
He
I don't
starts
know.
out his videos and streams with girls in bikinis dancing to music and playing his own music. Rock and roll, man. Hey, do it your way. Good. Yeah. It's your way. Burger King up in there.
But yeah, so anyway, you just quote Burger King on a UFO podcast.
Have it your way.
Yeah. I was a kids club member myself.
Are you Bob Lazar or Dave Filoni right now? I'm not even sure.
They're very similar voices. Actually, he's just higher voice. He's up
That's
there.
actually a lot like Bob Lazar right now. Yeah,
hey, look, it's so much. When I get into it, my fucking wife hates me. You gotta understand. Like,
I can't believe you're still married with that.
Yeah. Voice. Hey, well. She's seen Tinder. She came back.
I like spaceships.
There you go.
Yeah, it could be a lot worse than me.
That one and the Padme one at the dinner table cracks me up.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm trying to remember if there's like I said, this we could go look at this shit all day. Probably there's so much to it.
Yeah.
And I would recommend if anybody like I said, wants to like read through it at your own thing and like really like look through it all. There's just a ton to it. You get a bunch of different perspectives, people seeing it all over. Towards the end of the document, you get some really bad photos of the crash.
You think that the news would like take this, piece together stuff, be like, why is no one talking about this? And they would say the same thing. They'd bring it to their boss and be like, I'd like to air this. This is amazing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They would go, I don't know, the editor-in-chief, J. Jonah Jameson style would be like,
J. Jonah
from
Jameson?
the 40s. No one cares about this. Get out of here. Like, that's exactly
That's old school thinking. Now they would be like, you got 3 minutes, and then it just wouldn't be worth doing. They just give you less time to talk about anything, so anything that requires more than 3 minutes just gets dumped.
So they're not like, I guess, is that because they're not like, I'm not restricting you?
Yeah, we're not restricting you. We're just giving you no time to talk about anything, so it's irrelevant. And you can talk about whatever you want, but no one's going to care because it's 3 minutes and we're moving on to the next thing.
Didn't they say that they couldn't
Yeah,
find the propeller, but it's right here in the picture? Did I remember that wrong? Huh.
I don't know. The thing that interests me most about this particular era was Dan Carlin did, it was either a Hardcore History addendum, but it was about the time period between dropping the atomic bomb and Russia getting the nuclear stuff in 52. So there's this period of time, right, when we were the only ones as a nuclear superpower in the whole wide world, right? And like and all the battles that were happening to not drop nukes, and all the generals were like, drop a nuke, drop a nuke, drop a nuke, and they were just like constantly putting that off. But this is that time when you can't say, oh, well, the Russians had an experimental, or it was nuclear. Like there's no one else has the stuff.
Yeah,
why would we not know about our own shit? It's really an interesting point in time that's not looked at much. Like it's a fascinating podcast. I recommend too.
Right.
I'm actually perplexed that there is a wheel intact from this plane crash.
Well, again, if his fuel burnt up for whatever, look, giving him, say it stalled out and then it wasn't the most well-kept P-51, and there was some coincidentally like problem where like the fuel tank went and then exploded in midair, right? That ripped the thing apart, or that it all blew up in one big fiery ball, blew off the front, right? And then ripped them down. Then by the time it falls to the ground, probably with the flying through the air, it blew out all the smoke, the fire, like there is a chance that it could be one of the craziest coincidental crashes, of all time. There was something else in that other P-51 thing where he wrote down there was no odors were detected. And Chris Lito goes, odors? why would they be? But he goes, I guess back in the day, like you could smell, the fuel off other engines. You know what I mean? Like you would actually be able to smell things, and so like there's no burning fuel coming from the objects and stuff. Is what they were saying. Like that was like a normal thing to do when you're a pilot.
Yeah.
I don't think about that these days. Like
No.
Even Chris was like, I never would have thought.
Yeah. So when it comes to our little UFO show here, I also have some other stuff that we could go to. That's just not P51 Mustangs from back in the day. But once again, I love that story because hundreds of people see it. It's seen in different towers across different states, different people. The plane actually crashes. It appears to have maybe maybe it did collide with it or something. I don't know. And we're before the time when you can't say it was China, you can't say it was Russia, you can't and then it's like
you can't even say it was our jets. You know what I mean? Couldn't say it was helicopters. Couldn't say it was there's just the best they got is look kind of like a parachute. Look kind of like a silk balloon if it could fly 800 miles an hour. It was emanating radioactive material in a ball of light. But sure. Look, who comes out with radioactive Geiger meters at 14,000 feet? I mean, I don't know. I wonder if these Tic Tac UAP things, were spewing out radiation across middle America at 14,000 feet. How many people got cancer? Seriously, there's no data on that. There's zero data. Can you track, is there any way to track the data of the rise of cancer cases? Or is it all going to be like, well, we weren't testing for it and then we were, so we can't tell the difference? I don't know,
Let's be real. People have cancer because of us. I think it's
but there's different isotopic ratios to different types of cancer. You know what I mean? And so, we're never gonna get the answers because if there were anything being done by the government at that time, that data's got a big fucking black Sharpie through it. So
absolutely
whatever.
So this is from May of 2021, and this is that about that story we were talking about. UFO probe begins as black flying object crashes into sea, leaving trail of smoke behind. The alleged UFO.
Is that what we saw?
At the start of the show.
Okay.
The alleged UFO event happened in Indonesia, and authorities have already ordered an investigation to unravel mysteries. But there's no follow-up to this that we know of. Mysterious UFO event that happened in Indonesia is the hottest debating point among netizens and alien enthusiasts. It's the alleged footage captured from Jangkar Beach in the Indonesian province of East Java. A black flying object can be seen falling down from the skies, and finally it crashes into the sea. As the UFO makes its nosedive, it can be seen leaving a trail of smoke behind. And
the fact that they're writing UFO makes me think it's just some satellite missile shit. I almost feel like if it were real, they'd be doing UAP or something else.
Maybe. I mean, when you go into SEO for search engines and shit with these kind of papers, UAP isn't really going to get as much traction as UFO. You still have a marketing reason to use UFO. I
would like to see Lito do that math he can do where he can tell by the trajectory how big something is.
Yeah,
based on the distance from the camera. Because I would like to know how big is that object from what we're seeing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the fact that it's burning in that way is definitely a sign that it's probably something just very, very basic, right? I mean, that it's probably not because whenever you hear about, you usually don't hear about UFOs being on fire if they supposedly crash. When you look at metamaterials that we're supposed to have and shit, they always explode. It's always I'm just saying usually that's the story. Whenever you hear anything that sounds credible, but but what do I know? We don't even know these things. We barely have known that these things are real for a few years here. So who knows? I don't want to overstate anything, But
it's a
so
rod.
We get our hands on one. Oh, rods.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Obvious mosquitoes in the camera or something.
I know.
Oh my God, it kills me.
Man.
Kills me.
The rods.
As you can clearly see here.
Have you ever seen this one? Have you ever seen these two UFOs that I saw these on Christina Gomez's
probably
show?
did in one of the many documentaries I see coming out of the Mexican news outlets. Yeah. What's his name there? The reporter. Do we have this video?
I don't know. I don't have the video yet.
Why
I was
are you
like
teasing us about
I know. The videos I don't think are super good looking, but what's fascinating about
1991. That's
it's 1991. It's a camcorder, but this is two different videos from two different places, as you can see on the bottom here. One's from Puebla.
To be fair, people pay good money to get that kind of chromatic aberration in After Effects. So that was all in camera.
Yeah, but this is
not cheap effects.
What I thought was pretty rad. Jaime.
That's the reporter.
Jaime, okay. The UFO was described as an unusual metallic object or disc with 3 blinking lights. One eyewitness said there was an energy trail behind the disc. And on July 11th, many citizens of Mexico City looked up to the sky to see the last total solar eclipse of the 20th century. That afternoon, the city plunged into darkness. While many watched the eclipse, they noticed a UFO flying in the sky. Guillermo Aragon, a reporter, and Jaime Mason, a journalist, were videotaping the eclipse when they saw the metallic object. They were shocked at the strange object in the sky. Jaime produces, directs, and hosts Mexico's version of 60 Minutes. A week after the eclipse, he showed the Aragon footage on the show. Thousands of people called to say that they had seen a similar object that same day. Several of the viewers also sent in videotapes of the UFO. 19-year-old student Eric Allegar and several of his friends also claimed to have seen the object while on a rooftop. Eric was setting up a video camera to film the eclipse when his girlfriend spotted the object. While looking at the sky, they only saw a white dot at first. However, when they looked more closely, they saw the dot was shining brightly. So, yeah, so this was still video of the UFO at the air show. But anyways, basically like this one is a pretty interesting one because like thousands of people saw it in the end. Like this is sort of like
this in the documentary I watched.
Yeah, it's like the one in Arizona. It's sort of like the Mexico's version of the old lights in Arizona in '97.
Yeah, the Phoenix Lights.
The Phoenix Lights, yeah.
Reported by Kurt Russell first as a civilian pilot.
So
yeah,
the first civilian pilot reported.
Yeah.
Also, he turned down They Live. So
what?
It's all false.
He did.
He did.
Why would he do that?
Hey, I've did too many movies and thought just take a break, go do some Overboard.
Yeah, that's when he was like, love John Carpenter, but we're gonna do some other stuff.
Little Tango and Cash, little
Tango and Cash. I think it's time my Tango and Cash
gets
in
to that
here.
point in their career where they do a little Tango and Cash.
Yeah,
Oops.
Probably shouldn't have done
that. Looking back on it, I probably should have taken the plane up to 50,000 feet right into the UFO. That's what I should have done.
That's why I made sure I didn't turn down Escape from LA. Big fucking. Of course, if we didn't have Escape from LA, we wouldn't get the ending to The Last Jedi. So it all worked out in the end.
I don't know about this theory. I don't know.
100%. 100%.
I haven't heard this theory.
All right, here we go.
Dig into it.
Close Encounters, the top 10 states where you're most likely to see a UFO from the reputable The Sun.
From the reputable U.S.
The
Sun.
Sun.
So this could also be called the states that have the most crazy people in them. Let's see. Washington State,
California survey says.
New York, absolutely.
Here's the craziest thing about like California. I'm from San Diego, and all this fucking UFO shit's going around there when I'm there, right? I don't see the UFO there, but you remember like in 2004, 2005, there was like they were reporting those like loud bangs.
Yeah, the earth booms.
So like I just started my first job at this t-shirt company at Mad Engine. I'm there like a couple weeks. I'm in the art department. So everyone's there. All of a sudden, bam! Like that, like a loud bang from above us, shaking the whole. This is a building in like Mira Mesa, in a industrial complex there. There's nothing above the build. There's no, like, it was outside, above in the air. Like, it's the craziest. Never experienced it before or since.
They also call them the world horns. And I was actually on leave from Afghanistan at the time, R&R, and I flew home and I was hanging out. And it was there that I actually stepped out into the front yard of my then girlfriend's yard, and I heard like this boom emanating throughout the sky.
Was it your girlfriend?
Kept going.
Okay, so
I looked back and she was farting, you know? But I did. I heard the famous world horns, as you will. But yeah.
So
it was crazy. I couldn't pinpoint where it was coming from.
Is it just a mystery? Is it just a
People think it's tectonic plate movements that you can hear. They refract off into our atmosphere or something. Also, magnetic waves. I'm not a scientist. I could tell you, I couldn't pinpoint the sound. It was loud. It sounded like a dragon was coming. Yeah. I actually looked for dragons.
This sounded like, you know, like when you're going to sleep and you get that loud pop in your head sometimes because those synapses are firing.
No, I could feel it in my chest. That's how loud
this was. Like an explosion. It was almost, I don't know how to describe it. It was like, it sounded like, I mean, it's not like a sonic boom, but like something like, I don't know how to describe it. Like everyone was like, what? It was like pigs in space. Everyone was like, what the fuck is... No one was looking down or out in the street. Everyone was like this, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had been hearing about it on Coast to Coast, and I'm like, that was one of those fucking things.
It was one of those.
Like, yeah.
I know it.
Whatever that is. I mean, for all I know, it's just one of those like Aurora type jets that they were testing around San Diego at the time, you know? Because that was around the time they had those too. Yeah, because at the time that was when they were first doing those like stealth destroyers. And so I had some friends who were in the Navy SEALs who were telling me, like, there's a ship down in Coronado. You could see it looks all decrepit, but it's actually hollow. And in there, they parked the other ship. And I was like, get the fuck out of here, man. I don't, you know, they're like, no, we're really serious. I was like, really? Like, yeah, that's where we park it. You know, at night, goes right in there. So I was like, maybe that's it. Because it really was a specific time, and then it stopped. You never heard it again, you know? So I always wonder. But
you ever have that one thing where you're like falling asleep and you feel like, ah! Like you like jump back in your body?
Yeah.
You ever have that?
Yep.
No,
where you like feel like you're connecting with yourself again. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super weird when that one happens.
Or you feel like you're falling in bed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
You've never had that, Rob? Wow. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a like common thing. Nope.
Yeah, Rob's had some experiences, but astral projecting, not one of them.
Rob goes to sleep normal.
I'm mentally diminished.
Rob goes to sleep just like every other normal person, upside down with his hands crossed across his chest.
Yeah. So I actually did used to sleep like this just to freak people out. But
this is the video that Rob was bringing up from Chris Lido, which is a really, really smart UFO examination. I don't know, investigation channel. I don't know what you call it. But
retired F-16 pilot.
Yeah, retired F-16 pilot. And,
it was my dream to fly the F-16. Damn it, it's just too big, too stupid.
But yeah, it's pretty cool in this video because he uses these like reenactments using Flight Simulator. which is pretty neat. And kind of shows like, exactly how that one went in that instance. But I'm curious if it's the same, if it's the how they were talking about how there was like another incident. Do you think the other incident was this? I'm curious now.
Probably, yeah. Because this is not that incident you just read. I watched this 50 times today while I was packing. I just left it on the loop. Okay. So I'm very familiar with this video. I didn't watch it once and walk away. I just left it on all day while I was packing art. So
this video absolutely wanted me to download a flying game, a flight simulator that also allowed you to interact with a UFO. Shockingly, there is none on Steam. If anyone knows a game that I could play, that I could fly against UFOs,
so
shoot them down, please let me know.
This is the map that the pilot drew of the whole incident.
Oh,
that's the map.
That was
he actually draws. Yeah, he actually draws this out. The O is the object, the X is his position.
So they're basically just kind of like flying in a circle around it, kind of. Am I reading?
Yeah,
that
and
right?
the way that P51 moves, he could bank around. He gets in his line of sight to where it's not moving, right? Your head toward, and then it just does this. So he's like following it, but it's going way up, and super fast at 800 miles an hour at this like circle. So he said it was still turning according to like some form of laws of physics,
Yeah,
like it wasn't just doing the instantaneous zigs this way, the Wonka Vader shit. That's what I like to call that. But
so is it? I wonder why that would be. Like, is that it? Just kind of playing with him, like flying with, you know what I mean? Like trying to, because sometimes the like if you look at the Tic Tac incident, the fact that like it goes to where they're going to be next. It flies to like their next locations and stuff. That to me just reads like it's fucking with you. It seems kind of funny. It's almost like it's like, I don't know if it's playful or if it's trying to tell you, hey, we got you figured out, bud. I mean, you could take it so many different ways, but I find it kind of fun. So, in the early '90s video game Time Pilot, you fight UFOs.
I mean, yes, I'd like a little bit more of a modern game. But I do appreciate.
Remember the game Area 51? I shot them alien bastards straight to hell.
Ever hear of asteroids, dumbass? Like, oh, fair enough.
Yeah. Space War, first video game ever made. Like, I know. Well, Table Tennis Top for 2 is the first one, but Space War was the first real game.
Yeah, no, and could this thing have been playing with the pilot, or it seems like it's leading them away from something, possibly, right? Like, was it leading them away from something else?
Yeah. Well,
remember, it's going vertically too. It's not.
These are all like things that we could ask, right? Like, well,
yeah.
Right.
No, I mean that's what I always find. Like when you look up all of these like various encounters and stuff like that, like sometimes they come off really kind of friendly, and other times they seem like I was the other night I was gonna show it on here but decided not to because it had dead bodies in it. But like I saw like this like really cool documentary, but it was about cattle mutilations. But then I ended up finding one where they were finding human mutilations that lined up with cattle mutilations, but it was people. And it goes into some like kind of like horror story stuff where you start to hear these like stories where they would supposedly use ballistic missiles to take down UFOs, and when they looked inside, they found human body parts. And they're like, "Oh shit! Fire in the Sky, the movie."
I remember reading a case. I'd have to dig it up though, of people finding a body in the UK. And it was on top of a gravel pile. So they're like, no one could have gone up there and dropped off the body without leaving some kind of footprints. I'm like, ever hear of a rake?
Yeah, right. What are you talking about? I step on those and those hit me in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a military man talking about how I saw this one on Reddit. Military man says between 1980 to late 1990s had been involved in a military operation with NATO to track and shoot down UFOs, which is which kind of sounds like us, doesn't it?
I mean, I just don't know why the secret Space Force that existed since the 60s didn't get involved with this more.
Right. Right. Yeah. How the
mutilation, that fluoridated water.
Yeah. This is. I think this is how I eventually went down that rabbit hole. But how the mutilations were described for men: skin peeled off, no organs, no genitals, no teeth, no blood, no gum, all hair gone.
But we have only this one guy, right, to go off of for this allegation.
Well, that's the thing. Is it just one guy? I don't know. Yeah,
this military man says between the mid 1980s. You know, it's like, again, Linda Mountain Howe. I'm not a fan of her, but at least she does, have several cases. You know, it's like it's not just one farm having this thing, or it's not one person claiming to be like, I know this
farm remembers no genitals. You know? Remembers bloodless organs. Everyone looked like festers and mannequins. You know, it was horrible.
Yeah. I never really paid much attention to like the cattle mutilation stuff though, until I started going, well, you know, if they're saying that it like this is real now and this is real now, it kind of does seem like the cattle mutilation stuff is just like kind of the next shoe to fall on that front of actually like going down.
I think the cattle mutilations were always a way to secretly test what type of shit the government potentially exposed the citizens in an area to. So they went and they just did some cattle mutilations. Like, okay, we'll find out through these tissues.
He did some cattle mutilation.
And well, it's funny because Linda Mountain Howe even says that black helicopters are often seen around these cattle mutilations. NBC masks have been found at the site where the mutilations took place. Military equipment, stuff like that. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's clear that's military.
It's clear that to me the ranchers aren't doing it, and I say that because when she talks to the ranchers, these guys are breaking down like their own kids were murdered. These weren't cattle that they were raising for just steaks and shit. You know what I mean? This was like their pets, and you know, their herd and their money makers, and like they cared. And so like when this shit happens and it's horrifying. They're like, what the fuck? You know, like heartbroken when you hear it. I mean, they're more broken up than Luke was about Owen and Baru. You know,
like 5 minutes to process that shit, and he's like, "All right, I can go with you."
Betsy was my cow, my lover, and my friend. Now she's gone.
I'm not gonna act like I was a little genius watching Star Wars and I figured some shit out, but it was around the '93 re-release when I'm watching Star Wars, and
I knew it.
And Luke, you know, is crying because Ben died. Oh my! Everyone she ever know just died like fucking 12 hours ago. Like they're like flying through the debris of all of her relatives as you speak. You know, and you hear the little ping on the hull of the Millennium Falcon. That's her dad's skull. Like, just chill out, buddy.
Yeah, James sent me a meme the other day, and it was like, she's like, an asteroid field, are you crazy? And he's like, hey, that you should fill out home there or something like that. I was like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I never put it together with Empire, but I was thinking, just when I was rewatching that for the first time in widescreen, that, you know, I was like old enough to go, fucking everyone should ever know just fucking died. Like, she could just be like, boo. I wanted to lean in and go, boo hoo, bitch. You know? Fucking farm boy. You know, get out there and man the turret, coward. Yeah. You know, Andor died for this. Start dropping in some modern references and shit.
So I bought the old Skinwalkers at the Pentagon.
You got it. Oh,
I got it.
And that classic made to print on demand, Amazon style Lulu books. It's got. Are those? Hold on. Are those cheetah eyes in the background?
No,
of the cover?
it's a wolf. And they stole the image from like an image you can Google.
I know. I'm looking at that like, who puts a faded image? But like, it's so old school, dude.
It's so tacky. Everything in ufology comes off as like tacky. Like,
as if Napoleon Dynamite and his mom designed everything, you know?
Right, yeah, like a wolf t-shirt, tie-dyed is also the follow-up to this.
Shut up and eat your quesadilla.
I'm only about 45 pages into it or whatever, but the
4 or 5 pages?
45.
Oh, okay.
45, yeah. Like it's not that big of a book either. It's probably about 161 pages ish. Or yeah, it ends up. Wait,
108 years of research and
wait, hold on.
2
Okay,
Indiegogo campaigns.
Okay. I'm okay. I undercut it a little bit. It's about 179 pages, and then you have a bunch of a bunch of references and notes at the back, and the notes have some fun stuff in it too. But the like sexy part, if you will, of the beginning of the book is you have 3 scientists, 3 governmental workers who go to Skinwalker Ranch. They see this like weird like thing off in the distance that's like kind of like almost like a pyramid shaped object, I think it was. And there's like, as they walk closer to it, every step they take closer, they feel this like fear hitting them, like anxiety and dread that they just cannot like explain. And finally they keep taking steps. Like, I get the impression nobody wants to be the pussy and say anything. So they keep walking closer. Finally, once like, are you guys feeling like super like weird about this? They're like, yeah, let's go back. And they're like, okay. And then they like they turn around, go back, and then they kind of talk about it. And I guess like only one of them saw the object, which kind of sucks. I wish that they had passed it around and looked in the binoculars or whatever they had to like get a better look at it. But they end up going back home. When they go back home, that's when they have like the famous thing is the hitchhiker effect that everybody's talking about now. And as they go home, they the men themselves, I don't think actually have anything that happens right away. But what ends up happening is the wife of one of them looks outside on her property, and that's where she sees the wolf. It's like a werewolf, like a man wolf thing out like in the forest, and all right, on like the property line, like where there's some trees and stuff.
A man wolf?
A man wolf. A wolf man,
Jeez
a man
Louise.
wolf. I don't know. I like
humanoid on 2 legs, or
I mean, it might have been like that fucking sexy dude from Twilight. I'm not sure, but it sounded
like, read the fucking book.
no,
Michael J. Silver Fox.
Yeah, no. It sounds like it's like a 2-legged like wolf man kind of fucking thing. And she's just like, am I tripping out? Like, am I going crazy? Am I hallucinating right now? And
the
then
60s are caught up with
the 60s, those the acid flashbacks that was promised are finally happening.
It's happening.
Yeah. And then but I guess she doesn't say anything. She just is like, I'm just gonna like leave this alone. And then I guess like what I think it's the same family, either that night or a couple nights later or whatever. The dad like goes away though. The father's like gone on another mission. He's in the military. He's gone somewhere else on business or whatever.
Going to his real family.
Yeah, he's going to the family he loves more. And basically though, like the kid sits up in his bed and there's all of these like poltergeist style orbs, according to him, flying around his room. And he starts to like freak out. And then his mom rushes in the room, and as his mom opens the door, they just all go away. This is what the kid says, the kid insists that they just all go away. And then the mom's like putting 2 and 2 together. Like, I saw a fucking werewolf or something, some creature outside. Now the kid's saying this.
Shit.
And then like later on, the 2 kids, I guess, are looking out the window or in the front room or whatever, one of the rooms of the house, looking out. And then they see the creature that the mom does. And they're just like, what the fuck? Then they tell their mom. Their mom's like, I seen it too. And they're just like, like what the hell? Like what is this? And then they start to put together that it's probably something that they brought home with them from Skinwalker Ranch. And when you look into the
beware of hitchhiking wolves.
Yeah, right. My question is, what do you bring with you if you go to Skywalker Ranch?
How is it Mike Mignola's never put Skinwalker Ranch in a Hellboy book, right? Like, feels like that.
That's actually a good point. He should have, right?
You know, like the American myth, horror myth, right? Like that's the closest we've got to those sort of things. Yeah, I'm always interested with it's weird because like I have seen weird, unexplainable shit, and yet I'm like the first person to go, look, I'm the guy that when Blair Witch Project came out, we were in Gießen downrange training, and outside the tank, you'd go in the woods, and we had like a shared, latrine area. And I decided, because I was up at night by myself doing guard duty, I made the little wicker thing, out of like sticks. Like I tied it together and I put it out there, and then came back and just waited. And I hear this guy going, Heinz, and he's out there, and he's coming running back to the tank, because they're superstitious, my friends. And I locked the tank so he couldn't get in. Let me in. Yeah. So, when a bunch of guys get out in the woods, they get fucking spooked, man. They get spooked. However, like the tales of this stuff do predate. The thing that we don't have at all in this country is a real good history of what life was like before colonial times. Like I would really, I mean, if I had a few $1 billion, I would devote $1 billion of it to just cataloging and presenting Native American history. Get everyone that is together, everyone you can, and like make it, because we don't know what their myths are. We have no real good understanding of how far back it goes, any of this stuff, And so I imagine if you did, you'd see a lot of that Joseph Campbell similar stories going on here, like it seems it's quite plausible there is a certain part of land where weird shit happens, Whether Bob Bigelow's monetized it or not, I don't know.
I meant to show it tonight on the show, but I misplaced it. I have there's an article from back in the day of Carl Jung, Joseph Campbell stuff is based off of Carl Jung, and he says UFOs are real. He's like literally like it's real. It's not symbolism. It has to be real. Like it's a pretty fascinating thing because the guy who basically coined the concept of collective consciousness is saying, yeah, it's real. It's definitely real. People
all dig that one up.
Send me that
time.
one.
Yeah.
Send me that one.
I am interested.
I'll spend 1 second to see if I could find it.
It wasn't Carl Jung. It was Carl Hungus.
D'Angelo Vickers.
The old logjammer thinks that UFOs are real. Logjamming.
D'Angelo Vickers in chat says we need a Mars Attacks video game. Like, I would love that. Not, Tim Burton did a great job paying homage to it. The trading cards, Topps trading cards. I would love that game. Like
Warner Brothers owns that. It's tough to get in on those Warner Brothers licenses,
Yeah.
But I do think if they could hook up with a good Pixel Studio or VR Lycan game, that would be
VR
really awesome.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Imagine seeing the alien like mech.
Big Billy Meyer style ships and shit,
God.
a big,
yeah, cheesy ass looking 50s style. Love them. Retro.
So this one right here is not the one I was looking for, but this is apparently something else that we could look at. This like says, "Dear Mr. Harrison, the problem of the UFOs is as you rightly say, a very fascinating, but it's I can't even actually read this. Fascinating,
puzzling as it is fascinating.
Yeah, in spite of all observations I know. Yeah, you want to read it? Can you read? Can you see?
Yeah, in spite of all observations I know of, there is no certainty about their very nature. Go to the other side. There is an overwhelming material pointing to their legendary or mythological aspect. It's a matter of fact that the pathological aspect is so impressive that one almost must regret that the UFOs seem to be real after all. I have followed up the literature as much as possible, and it looks to me as if something were seen and even confirmed by radar, but nobody knows exactly what it sees. In consideration of the psychological aspect of the phenomenon, I have written a booklet about it, which is soon to appear. It is also in the process of being translated into English. Unfortunately, being occupied with other tasks, I am unable to meet your proposition. Being rather old, I have no I have to economize my energies. Yeah.
Okay, he's like, I got time for your fucking spaceships, bud.
Yeah,
I know you like spaceships, but I don't. No, but I mean, that's him going like, yeah, shit's wild, you know.
Yeah,
so
he seems actually bummed it's real. Like, given how legendary it is, I wish it was more than just that. But it seems like it's that. Like,
yeah, the thing that I saw was like an actual like newspaper thing where he had spoken to like a local newspaper, or you know, and he was just like, yeah, the phenomenon is real. Like we're all observing these things, and basically, I think he was saying that there's not necessarily like any kind of symbol that makes him think it's some sort of internal kind of like, you know, you're born, so your birth gives it some kind of like, you know, Freudian reason for it. He doesn't give that. He's like, there isn't one. So I thought that was
it away with that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that article. Actually, I'd like to.
Yeah, I'll find it.
Put it in my whole folder of weird shit.
Yeah, I'll definitely. You know what? I think I saw it on. Oh shit, I don't remember where I saw it now, but I will find it because yeah, it's fascinating. Because I want to do one on. I want to actually do a hybrid episode next, maybe, on the collective consciousness, where we look at the concept that Jung lays out of collective consciousness, how it relates to UFOs, and how it relates to Star Wars, because that's what the monomyth is basically tapping into, is the idea of collective consciousness and the UFOs. Yeah, I think that there's definitely kind of like a fun conversation for all 12 of us here tonight. on this engaging,
you know, it's
makes your pussy wet topic.
The news drops that you've been doing, which would have been amazing, by the way, on Obi-Wan. But you know, this is our outlet to get silly and talk about the shit we love, other than Star Wars, which, you know, it's few and far between.
Yeah, no,
there's not much else we like. Kids, our children, our loved ones, relationships, and UFOs and Bigfoot.
Yeah,
spoilers for UFOs. They're real.
They're real
sick ass dope shit. Like, I don't know, man.
I would also like to have a cryptid episode one day. That'd be interesting.
I don't believe in it. You know, my father believed.
I had a Bigfoot like weird type of encounter, maybe. I had a BFRO report, that I actually filed. It was me and some soldiers. We went up into the to the Hoh rainforest here in Washington State, and weird events. That's all. I didn't see a Bigfoot, right? Yeah. But I did come across a print, and had some weird events the night prior in a cabin we took shelter in. So it was odd. It was odd.
Remember in Harry and the Hendersons when he had that big ass, has that thing where he has the big dick, then that one shot?
Yeah,
they actually made Harry have a big dick. It's real.
Inappropriate. The wife was like, ooh, you know.
Yeah,
but
what? What's it, honey? What's he have?
John Lithgow was like, oh, you know. But my dad grew up in a town called Colfax out in California. It's in the woods, right? They just had to deal with the fires and shit. It was crazy.
Yeah,
and he was on this farm. He said they had like 35 dogs, so like he didn't value dogs the way I did. Like, it took me a long time to train him that dogs are domesticated house pets. He saw them as like farm things, you know, like
okay.
But so these were like work dogs that guarded and hunted with him and all sorts of stuff. It was a thing.
Yeah.
So he's out hunting. He told me this because we went and saw Harry and the Hendersons. He goes, "Look, Bigfoot's real." I'm like, "Okay, Dad." He's like, "No, it's real." And I'm like, "All right, Dad." Right? He goes, "No, look, I was out hunting. And I got 7 dogs with me, right?" He's tracking some, I don't know, some fucking deer or some shit. And he hears this fucking roar, like this fucking giant scream he never heard nothing before. And them dogs went fucking running. He's like, these dogs weren't afraid of nothing. He's like, my dad's like, I never went back that part of the fucking area, man. I just stay the fuck out of there.
Every experienced woodsman I know that's actually truly spent time out in the woods, says that, you know, they don't dismiss it so quickly. the subject. They're like, you know, I had some weird things happen. I'm not quite sure, but it wouldn't surprise me. You know, you hear
My
that
dad,
a lot.
you gotta understand about my dad. He loved when I would watch wrestling and let me know how fake the shit was. Like he loved ruining
reality.
all of my. Yeah, I thought vigilantes could be real. I was trained with ninja stars and shit. He's like, that's never gonna happen. You're just gonna get shot and killed.
He's not ravishing. His name really isn't Rick, and he's not rude. He's kind of polite sometimes.
He was actually rude.
You're stupid, son.
He's actually a bit of an asshole. Yeah, but he did call me
not
stupid.
that perfect.
But
Right. We're really opening up a can of worms here on Rob.
yeah.
Iron Sheik,
I talked to him about all the
aluminum.
stuff before he passed. It's cool. But like he owned a water store and I'd go there and just talk to him about all the uncomfortable shit because he couldn't leave his own store. Like I had a good 3 years of just therapy with my father. Yeah. Cornered therapy.
Roddy Piper
So,
doesn't actually play any pipes.
yeah. He didn't want to believe
Not
the
even
Bob Lazar
Scottish.
shit. Didn't care about aliens. The Bigfoot shit though, like fear of God in his eyes, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I'm the one to tell you, like, I don't know, but hey, man, he believed that shit was real. The dogs running is the one that gets me because I went to that farm once in 1982 or 3. I was really young, and those weren't kid touching dogs. Like, you were not like, I'll go play with the dog. Don't touch the dogs. You fall in there, they'll eat you. Like, they weren't them friendly kind of dogs. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna call it a UFO show tonight because I got my kids. Jason's got his kids. We got they're running around right now. I hear them fighting.
Yeah,
Mine
no
too.
kids.
Yeah, mine are fighting just like yours, and
So quiet.
they probably are setting stuff on fire. It's like Mad Max out there.
Oh, the irony of this is going to be that aliens have been abducting Rob since he was a child, and he has 74 half-breed kids right now. And the aliens are going to come and they're going to want their money. You owe some.
I won't drag this out.
Remember that story we had of that alien chick with the red pubes? Oh, she's coming for you, friend. You owe her some child support.
The kids often try to visit him by interrupting his sales that he makes in the parking lots of Walmart. Wear masks.
Look,
but
on a whim last week,
circle.
I was fucking around with Google Maps. I'm like, you know what? I want to see if my memory is as good as I remember it.
Okay.
So I was thinking about the playground incident I told you about. The farmhouse.
The farmhouse.
So I go to Plaza Bonita and I'm like, okay, I know this. It said Sweetwater. We didn't live on Sweetwater's the main road. And then there's this hill that goes up. My mom just called it Sweetwater, but it has another name. But I visually remember everything. So I'm going to go up the road. So I'm going up Google Maps. I'm going up this road. And I look to my left. I'm like, there's the house I lived in. And it's pink now. Don't look a fucking... And I'm like, I know that fucking place. I keep going way up the road to the right. There's the park. You know what I mean? Exactly the way... I mean, it's all new shit. It's not the old decrepit crap. And they've built up houses around. There's like this... The fencing's all there, and then you can see the shrubs. I mean, I can't go. The cars didn't go down there, but it's as all the location and the layout of everything is as I remember it. You know, I have no memory for names, but physical locations I have a photographic memory. You know, like that's my artistic brain working, I suppose.
Yep, same,
you know?
same.
Yeah.
I have a very photographic memory. Names, details, street names, nope. None.
Like Jason's always like, hey, you know that planet? I'm like, I don't fucking know the planet.
You know that.
If it ain't a
planet, Rob.
1-word, 1-syllable fucking name, like I can't. Like, I forget Jakku half the fucking time. Like that's pushing it. You know,
I'm a viewfinder with legs. That's
yeah. Yeah. I'm glad Gotham never changes because I can remember that. But fuck.
Today I could
Like
remember
the
Nick
Narrows.
West. So what do I know? You know, I'm with you. I
Fun
can see his
show.
face
Hey,
now.
everybody. For the 11 people that have stuck through to the end, check out the Chris Lito P51 video, though. It's like the second one. It's rather
really
new.
good. Really good.
Yeah, it's just 16 minutes. It's short. I mean, you're gonna want to watch it at least twice. It's pretty good. And he goes on a pretty valid rant about the Air Force trying to reclassify stuff so that videos like what have been coming out from the FLIR, radar systems would then be reclassified and have to go on. Like that's such bullshit. Like that's when I'm like, oh, it has to be real. There's no reason why they would care, to do that sort of shit other than we're tired of this fucking trouble. Like we're classifying everything.
Yeah, and then you have people pretty much dropping that the Men in Black are aerospace people that were ex-mercenaries who were hired to go out and gather intelligence on the incidents and to shut people up because it's an economic interest in doing so. Yeah, all kinds of things, various reasons to shut the whole fucking thing down, because especially if you have the leads on monopolizing the technology. You're like, yeah, why do you care if we know about the nature of our reality when you could make a lot of money off of us? Or right. Not us, but it, and at our expense, because I kind of want to know. If if I'm gonna get blown up by aliens someday, or if I'm a science experiment, or if our ideas of God are one thing but they're really another, stuff like that. Things that that humans ask about that maybe we should know the truth about. That's my take on it. But anyways, thank you for joining us tonight, Jace.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And me and Rob will be back on Monday talking about the Star War.
I will be watching.
Yeah, and anytime you want to come on talk about Star War, you're totally welcome.
It's during my work hours, unfortunately.
Yeah, we do.
I do watch.
Let's get unemployed like us. What? Join the club.
I need the monies to buy the stuff. These kids are freaking.
We're all gonna be
Jason. Just ride the rails with us. Eat beans out of a knife from a boxcar, singing.
Beans fine like
the
this.
The hobo life was big in the 1948. By the way.
I bet some hobos have seen some fucking UFOs. I bet there's like a really, really rad hobo UFO book waiting to be written by somebody.
That would be actually wicked.
Hobos and UFOs.
Yeah, but you have to dismiss them because they're all drunk.
Yeah,
Crispin Glover's follow-up album.
Hobos and UFOs.
Hobos and UFOs.
All right, everyone. We will see everyone on the next show on Monday, and we will try to get one of these UFO shows going a bit sooner, and we'll try to do one with a lot more UFO footage because that's always fun.
And Bigfoot stick.
Bigfoot stinky. Bigfoot stick.
I like spaceships.